to get insta-locked by Weibo right now, so I'm going to assume maybe they picked the Lucian Nami to respond to this, but we all know how this goes and how broken Zeri is in the current meta with that Triforce build, and of course Yuumi going Mikhail's Ardent Sensor, which is just as disgusting as ever. But still, Weibo Gaming coming to this game with a very clear idea, shutting down Shanji's champion pool, getting rid of the Cassante and the Rumble. So I'm getting a little bit worried for OMG, but they're going to deny the Yuumi, and I'm wondering what they will pair with this.
It could be the Aphelios, could be the Jinx. You would imagine the thing is, the reason why we're seeing the Zeri banned and not the Yuumi is that the Yuumi and the Zeri combination kind of relies on, you know, the Zeri is still exceptional, but the Yuumi kind of relies on the massively high mobility of the Zeri to kind of maintain presence, to keep her going, keep her survivability, and just constantly be putting out massive DPS. So curious to see what the adaptation will be here for OMG as they look to kind of pick that one away. They could have went Lulu Aphelios themselves, but they said, look, we just don't want to give over the cat onto the back of the Zeri. It's just too much for us to deal with. And I imagine we could see a Wukong coming in here for Weiwei. No real junglers banned outside of the Maokai, so you would imagine with the Vi taken away, they'll just go and kind of lock that in for themselves.
It does seem like it is going to be a Gragas hover as top lane champions are getting slowly narrowed down with only the Sion left up. And I've already complained about this earlier where Shanji's Sion just isn't it, especially when it comes to those team fights. So hopefully they have another answer and Shanji locks in something like the Gwen that can have that side lane pressure. This is completely off topic, but I also wanted to highlight that Xiaohu had a very cute setup with a pink keyboard and a pink mouse. So respect to that, I really like his setup. But of course it's going to be the Aphelios paired alongside the Yuumi for this bot lane matchup, but I still much prefer the Zeri over this Aphelios when it comes to those major objective fights. With this Vi, you do have the lockdown, but sometimes the Vi, if it doesn't kind of scale properly from the early game, it does just get instantly one-shot with how tanky the Zeris are nowadays. But coming into the second banning phase, mid and jungles are still not picked by Weibo Gaming, so it does seem like the Viego and the Wukong are going to get taken away.
Yeah, it does feel like it's kind of one of those things you just have to do. Unfortunately, it's definitely a bit of an issue right now. Zeri having, I think it's like a 97% presence at the moment now. I think 30 bans, 4 picks. The only person beating that is Cassante with 100% presence. So you know, it's definitely a little bit of an issue there. Definitely some high numbers. I think after Nico a ton of and Ari, I think it falls off to really drastically down to like 50% or something like that. So we'll see what they end up kind of wanting to work towards at the moment, but you would imagine the Wukong and the Viego will be banned away here by OMG to make sure Weiwei does not have a traditional jungler, but with having things like the Gragas and the Zeri, they may look for a Nocturne, which we are seeing kind of be that fringe outside pick once all those meta junglers have been taken off the board.
Yeah, we saw Nocturne 4-lane in the previous series do wonders for RA, but of course talking about the remaining champions that we have left open is that I have a feeling Creme is going to default to the RA this time around. There is no hard lockdown by Weibo Gaming just quite yet, as Shanji's champion pool gets continuously banned out with the Kennen also gone. We saw, I believe it was Invincible having a really good Kennen game, but Shanji left with no choices. Maybe something like the Gwen can help in laning phase, and Aki can also path towards there.
We'll see what they want to go for here. Ari going to be picked up and locked in there for the side of OMG. Creme didn't have the greatest of series against BLG with this particular pick, but we'll see if he can do anything better with it. Weibo now looking for a bit more aggression, bit more burst damage. In fact, a lot of burst damage if they lock in this Annie. Plenty to be working with here as they get themselves the Kazakhs locked and loaded. So that's going to be a lot of external pressure onto an Aphelios if he ever gets isolated.
Yep, I love this draw from Weibo Gaming so far. The ability to set up from Xiaohu and then allowing Weiwei to carry, which has been the biggest question with this new roster of Weibo Gaming, because we don't know what Weiwei looks like on a carry like this. And Xiaohu picking a champion that is going to set him up for success is going to put a lot of pressure on him, especially into OMG, where they are able to snowball if you give them the lead. So the final pick is going to be left for Shanji as this top lane, and of course it's going to be the Gwen, naturally, as you have a stronger lane, or at least easier time. Potentially a Poppy just to stop Weiwei from having a fun time in those team fights and also stopping light, which I would also prefer for this final pick. But it does seem like it's going to get locked in. Never mind, he's just going to go with Aatrox. Never mind, I'm sorry, Shanji.
I love it. I love it. Aatrox for Shanji coming in out today. And again, this is what we want to see from him. I don't want to see him on tank duty. I don't want to see him going for things that kind of, you know, just sit in the lane and don't really do a lot. We need to see him being proactive. And an Aatrox is something that can be proactive, especially in those more scrappier team fights.
I would have much preferred a Poppy because you just make Weiwei and Light's life hell in these team fights. But it is going to be the Aatrox first time in summer, and I'm really excited to see how this top lane matchup will go because we haven't seen Aatrox in a very long time due to just...
And Weibo looking to build off of their undefeated start, especially considering they knocked down the MSI 2023 champions in a 2-0 fashion. And we'll see if Weiwei is the real deal, if he can keep up that fantastic start we saw him have in his first series of this split.
OMG Jayo! As we are having a fan 1v1 in the crowd, but I do want to highlight Aki for this game one because I was very impressed by him throughout the spring playoff split where I think he had an amazing performance being such a proactive jungler when it did come to those team fights, and he had a very good idea on how and when to engage. But this game, I am expecting him to play a little bit more aggressive, enter into the enemy jungle and give Weiwei a hard time before he starts hitting up those items. Shy?
I mean, he's spotted on this. They know he's there. They don't know about Weiwei, though. And now TheShy is just going to walk straight into two members, gets the belly buff off and a little bit of extra healing. And now it's a bit of a 3v3, but Weiwei's happy with the taking the Raptors for the moment. Just kind of saying to himself, look, I'll get level 2 very, very easily from this. So you can see already now Shanji looking to try and take away some of this camp. And it will not deny him the experience. So Weiwei now level 2, already starting to have a bit more of an aggressive time. And again, just kind of running the map against Aki, and we're only 2 minutes in.
I get it. TheShy wrapped around because he was a decoy for Weiwei to take the Raptors, and it hit OMG's top jungle duo with the confusion ability. And that is just going to be red buff and Raptors going towards Weiwei as the map kind of gets split off for the side of OMG for now. But we will have to wait because Aki, he does have to go towards that red buff or he's going to get triple buffed by a Kha'Zix, and you don't want to be behind in this matchup.
Yeah, really, really don't. As we can see there, Shanji just has to be a bit more wary that there could be a Kha'Zix coming up into his position. So you can see him now just kind of trying to push out this wave as tentatively as he possibly can, and just trying to punish TheShy where he can, considering he does have that level 2. But TheShy on this tank should be in a decent position to be able to kind of, you know, get the damage down. I imagine he'll go the full AP build. We've seen that a lot more often than not here in the LPL rather than the full tank. So curious to see if TheShy will still technically be on a carry.
Most definitely, and I was just taking a look at the mid lane matchup. I have no idea how Creme is already at half HP with no pots. Kind of bad trading from this Ahri in this early game, which is stopping Aki from even considering to invade the enemy jungle. To be fair, Xiaohu also placed a really nice ward in the dot bush towards the bottom side river, so the Vi would get spotted out as Weiwei is going to triple buff this Vi and deny a bit of a level kind of advantage from this jungle of OMG. And you already see Weibo Gaming being extremely proactive and not standard for this early game.
I love what Weiwei's doing as well. He's kind of saying, look, I can leave my red buff bot side. You've probably already cleared your camps here on the top or on the bot lane. So if you're going to be anywhere, you're going to be top side. And that means that I don't have to take this red buff at all. I can wait until, you know, kind of keep myself nice and occupied. We saw, I think it was Tarzan do something very, very similar. But now Aki recognizing, look, no real point in me kind of going for something that's already been taken. We're going to see both junglers come up into this top side. TheShy will get brought back by the Infernal Chains. We're going to see Weiwei getting jumped on here. We'll probably have to flash if he can. 1 or 2 auto attacks would have done it. But OMG just primed and ready there. They don't want to commit too much. They get themselves a flash and they're happy with it.
And once again, there's another 2v2 where it's perfectly counted by the OMG jungler, as I don't know how Weiwei expected the Vi to be top lane. I guess because the Vi didn't see the Vi at his own red buff. Another kill.
Ooh.
Potentially.
One more auto attack. Oh, the healing. Shanji miscalculated. It's a flash for flash though. But Shanji on this Aatrox already making moves on TheShy.
Yeah, and the wave state is perfect for Shanji as he just has to back and come back waddling with taking that slight advantage in terms of that trade. But That is the flash from TheShy. I wouldn't be surprised if Aki continues to play towards his top side, leaving the bot lane in an isolated 2v2 because this Aatrox needs to get ahead with his items.
Absolutely, and look, we can see the call being picked up by Shanji straight away. Recognizes, look, with both of our flashes down for the moment, definitely going to be a bit more of a farm lane, and the early bit of aggression not going to be, you know, leading to nothing, shall we say, but definitely not going to be the most exciting time of the game as we wait to see where the junglers kind of want to move their moves now. Weiwei hasn't really kind of been farming for the most part. He's kind of got that first little invade, and that was it. Good sharp by Creme in the mid lane, actually. Puts a fair bit of damage on the Xiaohu, who does finally get up to his level 6, so we will have that Glacial Tomb available to him if he wants to try and combo up with Weiwei, who now knows that Aki's on that bot side of the jungle.
Yep, Xiaohu without the TP, so Weiwei isn't going to go for that invade just quite yet. Although Creme is also very in the mid lane, but it does seem like this early game is going to be very standard and slow to allow the Zeri and the Aphelios to get their items online. But I think towards the end, I would still much prefer someone like this Zeri, because with the Triforce and a Lulu protecting it, I just feel like a 3000 HP Zeri is going to be impossible to kill when you're an Aphelios. But to be fair, we'll have to wait and see, because I think Abel, when he is given a champion like Aphelios, no matter how behind OMG is, if he just has the right guns, he's going to be able to match the DPS of the enemy team.
I just feel like Aphelios in general just has so many opportunities to be able to be an aggressive thing, as we do have ultimate available for Shanji. He pops it. He wants to try and be aggressive here onto TheShy. It's going to be difficult for him to really do that. There's the Infernal Chains coming out. They want to try and belly block his belly bop. And Shanji just says, yeah, I mean, it must have been on cooldown. TheShy gets killed, and that's just an easy pickup here for the side of OMG.
And TheShy flops on his belly, but it does seem like a 2v2 is happening in the bottom lane. It is going to die down as we have the heal burnt from Weibo Gaming's Lulu. But yeah, Aki pathing towards that top side as TheShy had to carelessly burn his flash from earlier. Does mean he gets punished for that, and the kill goes into Shanji's pockets, which is exactly what you want from OMG.
And this is why I wanted to see, again, we talked about it so many times, but having Shanji on something that can carry, something that can have pressure in this top lane is been a winning formula for OMG since he arrived on this roster. So really good to see him kind of making waves in his top side, punishing TheShy for his lack of a flash. And again, just you know, I feel like TheShy wasn't really being respectful there. You use the belly bop at some point. It's on a massive cooldown this early on in the game. You cannot just walk into that and expect that that's not going to be punished.
Yeah, and this is starting to become a common trend for Weibo Gaming games, where you see TheShy often dropping the ball in laning phase, and when you do give these solo kills over to the enemy top laner, especially in the case of Shanji, he is more than happy to snowball that into a much bigger lead, while Weibo Gaming, they ideally want to just let Light scale into the late game and look for those 5v5s, but TheShy is already starting to show that weakness for this game.
Yeah, TheShy has, honestly, even this last split, kind of trending back into this one. We'll see how many games before, you know, it kind of changes, if it does at all. But definitely struggling, it feels like, in the laning phases, and having, I think in the last series he did, when it was 0-3 against BLG, I think he ended up with a disgustingly bad scoreline. So really not what you want to be seeing or what you'd be expecting from someone with such high caliber, or even just high, you know, hopes, I suppose, from a lot of different teams or players. A lot of people have a lot of love in their heart for TheShy. Has some high highs, but definitely on a bit of a low for the moment. And it's not what we want to be seeing, really. We want to see this guy get back to the highest of highs, because again, the top lane in the LPL and specifically is so damn strong. Like, you have so many incredible top laners here in this league that it's like, well, you kind of have to be able to kind of go toe-to-toe with them. Otherwise, you are going to get punished just like this. Oh.
And Creme's gonna get engaged on my Xiaohu here. Good cleanse.
Great cleanse, yeah, great cleanse. Had it in the back pocket already for him with a Summoner Spellbook.
Oh, Sheen, I need to highlight something. I spy with my sneaky eyes that Chris has bought an Oblivion Orb on Lulu. And I'm a very big hater of this ever since Chemtech has been changed, especially Chemtech Putrefy, where when you do reach the later game and you are dependent on those team fights, this Oblivion Orb, at least Grievous Wounds, won't apply onto the enemy team unless the Lulu is the one doing the DPS. And we often see Lulu's doing very limited damage when it comes to these team fights. So I don't know if this Oblivion Orb is going to last for too long. Obviously, it's gonna try and even out the lane state where you don't have that heal compared to the Yuumi in the passive, but still, I'm a big hater.
I mean, you are. I think a lot of people are. If you're not, I think it was. I do believe it was Molecule at Molecule Lol on Twitter who did the maths on it and actually went through it. How even if you do finish off the Chemtech Putrefier, it doesn't add on to it. Unfortunately, it's actually not a. It's not a good item whatsoever in a lot of different senses. But unfortunately, it's not gone over to Crisp. But we'll see. We'll see if it ends up being a good or bad purchase. I mean, we can't request it, but I would love to see the healing reduction at the end of the game. Generally speaking, I know Chakras is a big fan of that as well. Back in the day when healing reduction was just bad. So yeah, we'll see if it ends up working with something. Not a good look for Chris for the moment. 1,000 gold lead though for OMG. Mainly concentrated in that top side where it's almost a 20 CS lead or so, and that coal kind of going to pay for itself now in a very short time. And this is kind of where the game gets a little bit funky because we have got level 6s kind of across the board. Everyone's got their summoners available. It's going to come down to who gets a bit more creative to make things happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Weibo pushes this mid wave in and looks towards that top side because you have the cleanse available on this, I feel like, so it's going to be really hard to try and get your hands onto the AD carry. But we see Aki wrapping around the vision again. No vision in the river for TheShy, but he is playing a little bit more disciplined as the wave is slowly pushing into him. But Xiaohu has constant push in the mid lane, and I'm getting worried for how Aki's going to path.
Yeah, again, it's kind of, you're relying, especially as the Kazakhs, for either isolated targets or for Xiaohu alongside the Gragas to kind of set you up for things. But that ward will spot them out as they do kind of pop out that Scryer's Bloom. And now you know that you're kind of free on the bot side to go for a little bit of a roam, maybe look for a little bit more of a push into the lane or anything like that. So it's the thing, Weibo, they have got tools available to them, but they kind of need to be together to use them. Individually, they don't really have the kind of same level of playmaking as you would on the side of OMG, as you've seen with the Vi and even things like the Gravitum going, being able to kind of set people up for success in these lanes.
Most definitely, and with the dragon spawning in 1 minute and 40 seconds, Weiwei does get spotted by a ward that has been sneakily placed down by Ppgod. So I'm expecting a 3v3 getting countered by Aki as well. However, we don't have the TP in Creme's hand just quite yet. He's gonna make his way down as the Rift Herald gets spawned.
Aki is here, so I don't think you can really fight this because Creme, as you mentioned, is on the first rotation. This is Weibo getting nothing for that Rift Herald. You get the local gold, a bit of experience for Weiwei, but that is just a really unfortunate Herald usage right there, and that means that Weibo kind of go wanting once more, and this is feeling just not really, you know, it doesn't feel very confident right now from Weibo. It feels like they're a bit scared to kind of go for anything. It feels like that, you know, once TheShy went down once, they kind of said, all right, everyone hunker down. We're going to try and go for the scaling and hope that Light and Crisp can just carry the game from later, which isn't a great look if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah, and this is what we're getting, Weiwei on a carry, and it is showing that Weibo Gaming seems a lot more restricted with their early game plays. But my biggest question will be these team fights, because it does seem like Weibo Gaming is putting all their eggs into the 5v5 late game scaling basket, as we do have a Kha'Zix who just hit Yoms. He can potentially look for a fight here, as he does have a huge spike coming into this skirmish.
He's not going to find the red buff. We'll probably find the Krugs. And two junglers passing
Shanji
each other.
either.
No, Shanji's actually making his way all the way back to base because this dragon is spawning in 10 seconds, and that will put OMG up to 2. And with the pressure that you're seeing from Weibo kind of on that top side, there's no real contest going to come out from this. I'll be curious to see now if Weiwei kind of makes his way down, but with a Stormrazor finished up here already for Abel, it does feel like they just kind of have to give this one up as well, and potentially we'll see a fight going around this Rift Herald in a minute's time.
Yeah, and because Weiwei is pathing towards that top side, Weibo Gaming lost all their priority in this bottom jungle, and it was a very big question mark in their first series because we did see the tendency of Weiwei constantly hovering for TheShy. And it did work out for them because I believe it was Kanavi consistently tried to force a 2v2 in the top side and they came out on top every single time. But we need to remind everyone that this is a bot side meta and now OMG is now sitting on 2 dragons, so they can potentially force a very early soul fight, which does put Weibo Gaming's composition a little bit in an uncomfortable situation.
There could be a TP coming in here. There is indeed. That's going to be the Gragas coming in here, possibly with Xiaohu. It might be a double TP. Never mind, it's just Xiaohu joining in with Weiwei. They're going to try and get the cleanse. TheShy finally gets himself going. They will catch out the cat alongside the Ophelio. Shanji TP'd in. It's a 5v3. Aki had to back away just a little bit. Shanji doesn't feel super confident. A lot was used by the side of Weibo. You can see 4 flashes to get in on top of those AD carry and support, but they get their men and they get themselves out.
I have a love-hate relationship with Gragas. I feel like every Gragas that we have in the LPL, they show to be a little bit shaky in the laning phase, but once you get that first TP up, once you get that first flash E onto the enemy carry, that is where you start flopping everyone, because we see Abel already burning double summoners, and we said that Weibo Gaming looking a little bit slow, but they're willing to catch these ADCs out of position and just pull the trigger straight away. So this is another sign of life as they pick up the Rift Herald now.
They're looking to, but Aki's in the vicinity, and they have got a lot of members of OMG around. So yeah, I was going to say, you used a hell of a lot in that last fight. You got to wait for a couple of cooldowns to come back before you can really start to fully contest it. Triforce finished up as well for Light, so he's going to be happy with that particular pickup for himself. But yeah, I don't, even though, yes, they get the 2 kills on bot side, you cannot really contest this because you had to use so much just to make that play happen.
Despite Xiaohu getting this tier 1 tower in the bottom lane, OMG is still coming out on top with collecting this Rift Herald in top side as well. So there's going to be a TP from Creme. I guess it saves the tower, but with Aki picking this up, he can just place a mid and open up the map.
We do have the Echoes of Helia, excuse me, being picked up by Yuumi now. The newest of the support items gives you a nice bit of ability power and ability haste, which is always good, especially with the mana regen that it kind of picks up for you, which the Yuumi desperately needs. And we'll see if this Yuumi can start to scale, because it does feel like when you have a Yuumi on your team, scaling is just such a huge part of the game you're playing, and that, yes, you can put her down early, but it does feel like when the Yuumi gets into that late game with that healing and the shielding, it just becomes nigh impossible to deal with later on.
Be honest, Sershin, do you think the old Yuumi was more broken or the adjusted Yuumi is more broken? Because I
honestly
don't know how I feel about the new Yuumi yet. The new Yuumi,
I hate like both Yuumis, I'll be honest.
I just hate Yuumi.
Yeah, again, they kind of said they addressed the issues. The issue was that she went invulnerable all the time, and it didn't matter, and now it's still the same. So I don't think it's really been changed all that much. I think she just same destination, different journey, you know?
I guess the only difference now is that because of Echoes of Helia, the items have changed a little bit, and the Yuumi has to play just a tiny bit more aggressive with that ultimate, as you do get quite the significant damage with changing direction and also healing through that ult. But I still think the old Yuumi was way more disgusting. But to be fair, the old Zeri was also really annoying. The BT and Immortal Shieldbow combo, compared to the Triforce, that one had like a 3k shield, but now you have 3k health.
Yeah, now you just get 3k's flat health. It's not even the shielding, it's just flat health available to you. So, I mean, it's why the Yuumi has to be kind of picked away from the Zeri, because with the Echoes of Helia, to anyone who's not even sure what it does, maybe not playing support, you're not keeping up with the support items and stuff like that, but gotta stop myself for a moment. They're gonna get the tower, and immediately there's gonna be a TP coming in on top of this one here. Light trying to just play very aggressive. It's a double TP on the backside of this one here. They're going to immediately go in and try and burn down Light, and they will. Aki still alive, finally goes down with the explosive cast, but it's a double kill coming in for the Ophelios. Now OMG looking to turn their sights on the solo laners. TheShy flashes over, but gets followed by Creme, who gets some reset, and that is a beautiful team fight from the side of OMG. They get 5 kills, they only lose 1, and everything goes their way.
And that is the redemption that we needed to see from Creme. He gets onto the backline and shuts down Light alongside Aki, as Light falls down as that first member, while Abel tanking everything that entire fight. He had the red and white, and Xiaohu just didn't have enough damage to kill this person because they had the Yuumi on them. But I think Weibo could have just left this tower a little bit greedy. I guess Light thought he could have out-mechanicked here, but Xiaohu just wasn't able to find an angle as Abel walked forward, and Lissandra ended up being too far behind. We need to also look at what TheShy did here, because I think with a Gragas ultimate, it could have just easily displaced Abel closer into Xiaohu, but it was a very late ultimate to say the least.
Oh, for sure. And the thing is that, like you said, it was very, very greedy from Weibo to try and contest that. Maybe they thought, oh, look, you know, there's, you know, we can get there quicker, we can go in. But then when the double TP kind of happened, nobody off the TPs kind of moved in. It took about 3 or 4 seconds after the fact for Xiaohu and for TheShy to really make a move there. So now you're 2 TPs down. You just lost a massive swing of gold that basically all went into the carries of OMG. Actually, it all did. You got it all on the Shanji, Creme, and Abel. This is now 2 items across the board. You're falling significantly behind. And look, I'm all about the Zeri Gaming. I know how powerful she can be, but there's only so much a Zeri Gaming can do.
Maybe this really is what the Zeri looks like when you don't have the Yuumi constantly buffing you with those heals, as we have Shanji getting caught out here.
He's still got the mob of Mortius, and he's going to take this 1v2 because he knows he can win. Weiwei is a very squishy champion. No flash for Shanji. He's got a bit of extra movement speed as now the rest. Oh my god, Abel! He wanted blood and he got it. There's a fantastic charm from Creme. Going to try and jump on the Xiaohu, who has nowhere to go. Double kill, and now OMG are starting to feel the momentum.
And they're going to just start Baron with the red and white available for the guns on this Aphelios. They're getting wrapped around Weiwei and Xiaohu, trying to get something done in that top side, but they just didn't have the damage. And Shanji coming out with the unexpected pop onto Weiwei, getting him to such low HP, and then Abel flashing over the wall, flanking as the AD carry, while Creme having significantly improved performance on this Ahri in this game 1.
Massively different compared to series number 1 against BLG, looking like the OMG from playoffs, looking like the team that kind of said, no, we are a top 4 force and we are looking for international league. And again, you're going in here with isolation damage, that's great, but it's still an Aatrox. The healing, the drain tanking is so real.
Look, we have the Chemtech Putrefier available for Chris, but he wasn't there, so there was no heal cut going onto Shanji in that trade, and a really slick charm to finish things off from Creme on this Ahri, as OMG just has complete control around the entire map right now, because Weiwei on this Kha'Zix extremely silent for this first game.
Absolutely, and look, you know, I don't want to put it all onto Weiwei. It does feel like Weibo as a team just kind of very inactive to try and make things happen. 3.5 minutes till the next soul, the soul point, I should say, or soul itself is available. My God, I'm getting my words, my terms mixed up, but I mean, OMG are just feeling so confident. Look at the damage! Oh my lord! Xiaohu had to ult, otherwise he would have died, and now they're going to jump straight in on top of Weiwei, who's got nowhere to go, should not even be there, all because Abel's just a monster, 2.5 items, and this Aphelios is just unkillable, frontlining into Weibo.
Name a more iconic duo, LPL, Aphelios, and just walking forward, doing 2 billion damage as he has the red and white with the Yuumi buffing him up constantly as well. Weibo Gaming's frontline can't really stand the pressure anymore. Creme also has a Banshee's Veil, so Weibo Gaming, they're running out of
great charm.
their choices.
I mean, the question is who tanks? Who walks forward? Like, TheShy's gone full damage. You don't really have a Nautilus or an Alistar or someone to kind of go, okay, cool, I will be the sacrifice. I will put myself into harm's way so that the rest of my team can get their abilities off. But you don't have that here on the Weibo composition, and it does feel like because they've fallen so far behind, they're just not able to stand up to the pure damage that's being thrown at them.
And once you get to a 5v5 stage, this Kha'Zix not having those items available in the early game does mean that it's not going to provide as much compared to something like the Vi, which people default to,
I mean, that turret's dead.
Get an easy go. Turret is dead. Abel shooting from 2 screens away.
Oh, Xiaohu trying to jump in. They will get the Aphelios though. They finally get themselves the assassination. They're looking to try and turn this one back. The Yuumi's turned her best friend into Ahri. Everyone's very, very low for the moment. They get one. Abel walked a little bit too far forward. Xiaohu having that good cooldown on his ultimate meant that he knew he was able to take him out.
Classic Abel, and stepping a little bit too far ahead. I can see where he was going for. He tried to get the tower, but Xiaohu getting his hand onto him. Even with the cleanse, I just didn't expect the damage from this Weibo Ross. It does give them a little bit of a breathing room, but with the Baron expiring now, they weren't able to get too much. I think they could have gotten 2 inhibitors if they were a little bit greedy
that
with
other
it,
inhibitor will respawn a little bit. It was like 1 HP or something like that, but they'll get it on the next push, guaranteed.
copium, they'll get it. As the dragon is spawning in 1 minute, this is going to be Cloud Soul for the side of OMG. And that is a result of weiwei consistently pausing towards that top side and prioritizing the Rift Herald in the early game.
I mean, he prioritized the Rift Herald, but he only got the singular Rift Herald. The second one actually went over to the side of OMG because of the fight that Weibo took in that bot lane. And I suppose the kind of question is now is that, I suppose a question I pose to you is, how do Weibo want to try and bring this one back? How do they look for a fight? What does a good fight look for Weibo?
It's so hard because once you get to 24 minutes, you look at the items available. 3 items on the Aphelios, is also the BT, so a slight lifesteal. But the biggest problem is that the Yuumi has a Mikhails now, and the only hard CC that Weibo Gaming can play of is Xiaohu. But Xiaohu being level 13 compared to Creme's level 15, he only has 1 shot, while we have to really depend on TheShy.
Yeah, I mean...
He's dead.
No, yeah,
Rip.
He's dead. Not a lot else he can really do about it. He is going to fall. Creme will pick up that kill. 12 stacks on the Medjais, even has a Banshees to keep himself nice and safe. They will be able to pick up this tower. Like I mentioned, 1 or 2 auto attacks was enough. And now OMG, they may look to try and just kind of keep the pressure on. They might not look to end the game just yet, but they've taken the base is in tatters. They've taken everything.
Yeah, they do have a slow wave in the bottom side, but they are going to just go for the safer route with this Wind Dragon going over for that soul point. I feel like this Zeri has been a little bit silent with the Lulu. It doesn't seem as explosive compared to something like the Zeri and Yuumi. Can weiwei get anything done as Shanji is alone in the middle lane, or are they just going to give over the soul for free?
I mean, it feels like they just, yeah, I mean, there's your answer. They give away the soul for free. They try to look to something maybe on the top side, but no Baron to contest, no real way you're going to kill off this this Aatrox. And it looks like Zeri is going to be hitting her first loss of the LPL split. Was sitting at 4-0, 100% win rate, but unless we see some absolutely crazy shenanigans, it's definitely looking like it's going to be the first loss here for this champion.
Yep, and if we just take a look at Weibo Gaming's builds right now, it's that Xiaohu is trying to go for that Zhonya's, but they are so behind in gold that this Lissandra, no damage and no survivability in these team fights. They're slowly running out of time as OMG closes in on them through this top lane inhib. TheShy needs to look for a flank angle with this TP, and he needs to get his hands onto Abel, catching him off guard.
That's the thing. It's a lot of you needs and if, buts, and maybes. Just not really going to work out for you in the long run. 8,000 gold lead, a Cloud Soul, which is so good for the champions you have right now. You think about it, in Aatrox, in Ahri, things that are going to pop their ultimates and then have that extra movement speed to be able to kind of jump on top of you is going to be so valuable. Red and white for Abel means that he is ready to fight. They're going to jump straight away here, right on top of weiwei, who knows he has to flash away. Kept his flash, or used his flash, but now he doesn't have that available for him should he have to go and try and steal this Baron.
And imagine walking in as Weibo Gaming towards this Baron. The red and white available for Abel as well. They have to face check this.
They do, but they did put down a little blue wards. They know it's not being taken right now, so Weibo feeling a little bit more confident to delay this for the moment. Look at the shield being put up here from the Yuumi on top of Abel. Alongside that BT, it's just disgusting how much he's able to kind of, you know, pseudo tank, I suppose, if you want to call it that way. And OMG, much more cohesive in this game comparatively to where they were in, again, the BLG series. And again, I'm so excited for this team because this is why I fell in love with this roster. They didn't go meta. They don't go towards the most obvious kind of routes, especially not in top lane. And now Xiaohu looking to try and even get someone on the backside. They're looking to turn. The Glacial Path was used there to try and be a little bit of a distraction, but Xiaohu had to flash over the Baron pit because Creme popped the ultimate. And again, just more and more resources being taken away from Weibo as they look to try and find something, anything to bring them back into this game.
Yeah, but look at the bottom lane wave that Weibo Gaming has to do it. Someone has to back
Xiaohu! Xiaohu is caught. He goes into his ultimate, which means you're not going to have that available to you. You can see Abel now pushing TheShy away. Xiaohu goes golden, but it's only to delay the inevitable. OMG find their man. Bot lane pushing in with 3 super minions, as you mentioned. So that's going to have to be dealt with. There is no steal on the cards. This is just OMG's. And straight up, OMG are just smashing Weibo right now.
They really are just playing Weibo around the map. I think they should have just started the Baron or at least force OMG to fight a full-on 5v5 and take your chances, because with this Baron buff going over towards OMG, they're just going to start out macroing you, and you can't really step outside of your base due to the pick potential that they can from this Ahri and Vi. But yeah, we didn't really talk about the bot lane wave also giving Weibo Gaming extra pressure for that Baron, so they were really on a timer and they didn't pull the trigger fast enough, unfortunately, as Xiaohu had to burn the flash to get over the wall and ended up getting caught at the very end.
And this is why we were very, I wouldn't say hesitant, but we're definitely saying, look, when it came to Weiwei, when it came to Weibo Gaming in general, after their win over JDG, we said we'd give it a bit, you know? We didn't want to fully commit onto having, you know, oh, Weibo are #1, they're going to be looking at the best team, because this isn't exactly a million miles away from the issues we saw from Weibo in spring. It's that one game they look exceptional, the next they just randomly decide they're not going to have any presence whatsoever. They've done effectively nothing in this game, and I mean this in the most genuine sense of, like, there's been no real proactivity apart from like one move down on bot side, and the execution's not really been there. It just feels like they're just so unsure about how they want to try and take these fights, and there's a cleanse already gone from Light as he tries to defend this last inhibitor turret, but it's all for naught.
Abel's an absolute machine gun right now with the Inferno, as TheShy is forced to flash away, so that is one of their only engages gone from the fight, as Yumi's still sitting on that Mikhail's. He's just gonna hold on to it for Xiaohu's cast, and Weibo Gaming find themselves in such a sticky situation as the bot lane spawns, but doesn't matter.
Here we go, Xiaohu trying to go forward, but instantly deleted. Able to get that cleanse off, and yeah, this is going to be an easy cleanup fight now for the side of OMG. Able looking so good, gets himself the triple, looking for a quadra, not gonna die at the fountain just yet, knows it's not a penta, and in 30 minutes, OMG styling on Weibo.
Yeah, in the very end, Weibo Gaming were the ones that were hesitant, and OMG took advantage of this with the Ahri and the Vine. They were consistently forcing on the sides where they got many picks from that, and one by one also Able on the Aphelios, impressing us once again alongside the Yuumi, which we didn't expect because we rarely see Yuumi paired alongside any other ADCs outside of the Zerys, but we still see it doing extremely well once you get those items online.
Yeah, and look, you know, it's obviously the Yuumi is the problem, maybe not so much the Zeri, as we maybe a small sample size, but definitely a question to be asked as we look towards the next kind of picks and bans and such. But I mean, much better from OMG. Cannot sing their praises any higher than I already am. They just knew how they wanted to play. They picked themselves a decent composition in terms of, like, it was a standard mid jungle, bit of an off, you know, kind of meta top and bot in terms of, you know, we don't really see the Yuumi and the Aphelios pick that often together, as you mentioned as well. And the Aatrox just worked. I feel like TheShy didn't really do a lot, if anything, on this Gragas. The TP plays were okay, but never game-changing, and it did feel like Weibo were making them just kind of at the wrong times. It felt like that double TP play bot lane could have been amazing if it was right into a dragon, if it was right into a turret take, if it was right into something else, but it was always just kills and never really objectives to follow up with it. So Weibo got a lot to fix coming into game 2.
Yep, exactly. And throwing it back to my initial question about Weiwei joining this Weibo roster is that Weiwei is a great counter jungler, and he's great at tracking the enemy jungler when across the entire map, but does he have his own initiative when it comes to these games? And like you said, these kills in the bottom lane, they were able to shut down Able and the Aphelios and burn a lot of the summoners, but they weren't able to play off that even more and kind of extend the lead outside of just kills.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing, is that, you know, just getting kills is fine. It's kind of what I always kind of gauge off of, like, different teams. The LCK teams are obviously fantastic at this. They'll get a pick, but the timing of which they get that pick ends up being a tower or a dragon or a Rift Herald or something else, or even potentially a Baron. We saw it against JDG where one kill led to a Baron and then led to the end of the game. So this is something that Weibo need to kind of get a bit better at, whereas OMG were basically the opposite. They were getting a pick and then turning it into a dragon and then turning it into a, you know, an objective. We saw them get a fight and bot. They go straight back up to the Baron, they get that, they push in. There was a much smarter play coming out here from the side of OMG, and rightfully they come out with the win. And I just feel like Weibo just not really coming together with this composition, very much relying on TheShy and Xiaohu to be those initiators, and it just never happened.
And we need to remind everyone in the audience that Weiwei prioritized that first Rift Herald over these dragons in the early game, but the Rift Herald got dropped in bottom lane and it got instantly killed by OMG. A really good response from this team, and it ended up meeting into nothing. And we just take a look at the graphs, all the objectives kind of went over towards Aki in this first game, and he was very proactive with how he executed with the Vi. And someone that I have to highlight is Creme on this Ahri, a 180 compared to his first series early on in the week, and this is exactly what we need for OMG to shine.
Absolutely. And again, look, you know, looking at this fixture back in spring, I believe it was like week 8 or 9 or something like that, that the Weibo went against OMG. Weibo smashed them. It was a 2-0, wasn't really that close. It was very much about Weibo just kind of owning OMG in that regard. OMG have shown now that they have come miles from where they were even just a split ago, and I'm very, very excited to see what they can do now coming into the series. They still have a job to do though, Kitty. It's only one game. This is a best of 3. They still have games to win, but what a great start to this series for them.
Yeah, a really confident start. Like you said, no one expected OMG to grab a game from Weibo, kind of coming off their series win up against JDG. We really thought they were unstoppable, but they still have their weaknesses kind of from spring, so we'll have to wait and see how they approach this second game in terms of draft, because I feel like this Aatrox really did become a very big problem by the later stage of the game, as we did have heel cut on Lulu. But when you're trying to look for a pick with the Kha'Zix and the Lissandra without heel cut, then how do you really kill an Aatrox?
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like the heel cut, as you say in quotation marks, on putting it on the support is just a bad idea in a lot of senses. You're delaying the Mythic, you're delaying a potential Mikhail's Crucible as well, or even an Ardent Sensor. One of those 3 items, in my opinion, is far better than the Chemtech Putrefier in any sense of the words. So it does feel like it's just kind of like, oh, well, no one else wants to build it, so you're going to have to build it. Whereas I feel like an Oblivion Orb on TheShy or even on Xiaohu would have went a million miles ahead. Having an Executioner's, calling is even probably a little bit better there. But sometimes, sometimes the carries get a little bit greedy. Sometimes they ask to, not have to spend that 800 gold. And it's not that expensive, guys. Just pick it up. I'd argue that most people should pick it up in most games, just because it's just an annoying thing that stops, healing from becoming a ridiculous factor. But, I mean, OMG played exceptional. And I think for Weibo, a lot to kind of do. I need to see Weiwei probably on a little bit more of an engaged champion. He had an opportunity to go for that Wukong early. They actually opted in to go for the Gragas. The Gragas did nothing. They got the bans taken away from them, the Viego and the Wukong, and then taken away. He had to go for something a little bit off. So I think the draft needs to change a little bit here for Weibo. I think they need to kind of give themselves a little bit more priority in that jungle pick, especially if OMG gets something as high priority as the Vi.
Yep, and throwing it back to how this game kind of spiraled out of control was that Weibo wasn't willing to give that tier 1 tower in the mid lane and forced a fight upon OMG, and that's how OMG kind of got the ball rolling, because Abel was picking up so many kills on this Aphelios, as we saw a slight mechanical misplay from the solo laners of Weibo Gaming, where they weren't able to occupy this Aphelios from doing damage, while on the other hand, we have a Vi and Ahri on Light's face 24/7 on the Zeri, where he wasn't able to DPS, and I think a very big problem was just how Light was approaching that game in terms of his items, because I feel like the damage was really lacking. Something that we constantly see in the meta right now is the Titanic Hydra plus the Triforce, but without that, you don't really have the wave clear, and what makes Zeri so annoying is the tankiness and also the wave clear that does AoE damage, and you can slowly kite the enemy out like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Zeri picks up her first loss within the LPL summer split as OMG